It is generally accepted that Ham is the father of the black race, and that is what we're going to follow in this presentation. If Ham is the father of the black race, we're doing reverse genealogy. We're not starting with ourselves, as is normally the case, and working back. We're starting with our earliest known ancestor and working forward. So with Ham as the father of the black race, these are his 4 sons, as indicated in Genesis chapter 10, verses 6 through 20. Now that's going to be the key to what we're doing today.
What's up, YouTube family? Welcome back to my space. This is Evans Raiola. Guys, thank you for tuning to watch this video. I do not take your support for granted. We just hit 15,000 subscribers and I am super excited. Remember, the goal is to reach 20k subscribers by the end of the month. So guys, on today's video, we want to talk about the black involvement in the Bible. Many a times, rarely do pastors talk about this issue, but on today's video, we have this pastor known as Darius Gray, who is a prominent figure in the field of black Mormon history and has spoken extensively about African Americans and their place within the Bible. His perspectives largely focus on the presence of people of African descent in biblical narratives and how this relates to the faith experiences of black people, particularly within the context of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. One of Gray's key arguments is that black people are present in the Bible and have been part of God's plan from the beginning. So guys, I want us to watch this video of Pastor Darius Gray as he speaks about the black involvement in the Bible, which the white supremacists have made it difficult for the black folks to know, because there's a lot of depiction of Jesus and other Bible figures to be white, but not black. So guys, I want you to watch this video. Once it's done, we'll come back and do a critical analysis of the same. Let's watch this, guys.
I am Darius Gray. I'll be your first presenter, and I am working with Brother Marvin Perkins, and he will be your second presenter. Our first presentation is one that I'm quite fond of. It's called Blacks in the Bible. The 5 books shown here are part of the source materials that I used to do the research. But I want to point out that while these books were used, what we're going to be talking about is found in the standard King James Version of the Bible. No smoke and mirrors, we're just taking it from the standard Bible. So if you have questions and you want to review it later, that's where the information can be found. The book on the top left and on the top right are ones that I would highly recommend. They're very good reads. The 2 on the bottom left and the bottom right are more scholarly. Good information, a little bit harder to sort through, but it's worth reading. The one in the middle is sort of less challenging. There are a lot of pictures there, and it would make one believe that the entire biblical world was black, but it's another one that could be a source document. But again, I recommend the 2 on the top first and the 2 on the bottom left and right second. Why this presentation? Really, I'm a genealogist, an amateur genealogist, and I've been challenged by my faith to do my family history, my genealogy. And in a sense, that's what we're doing here. It helps to develop a sense of self, whether we're doing genealogy for our own families or as we're doing, in this case, blacks in the Bible. And like others, we need to be able to see ourselves and our nations in the scriptures. And this also helps to repudiate the confusion about race as presented by most Christian churches. So often the depictions that we see in Bible publications or biblical publications, scriptural publications, indicate whites. And you see a white person in this situation, that situation, and you very seldom see people of color. And at times it has caused blacks to feel that there is no place for them in the Bible. And as we will see, such is not the case. What do we mean by black? Here we have a picture of the African continent, 11,635,000 square miles. It is huge. For those of you who have had the pleasure of traveling there, you know that. It's as far from one end of Africa to the other as it is from Boston, Massachusetts to Buenos Aires, Argentina, a huge distance. In that distance, we have people of every shape, color, variety, body size, and style. You have the world's tallest people, the Watusi, with men often exceeding 7 feet. You have the world's shortest people, the Pygmy. You have blue-black people in Sudan and Ethiopia, the Nubians. You have chocolate brown in West Africa. You have pecan color in Ethiopia. So when we're talking about black, we're talking about any of those variations, any of those colors and body sizes. In this nation, there used to be a rule called the one-drop rule. And it indicated that a person only required 1 drop of black blood to be considered black. Well, I think we're going to go a few more than 1 drop when we do this research. But again, we're looking broadly when we speak of black. In the beginning, I wish I had a film that could do beautiful pictures and show the creation of the universe, but this is as good as it gets. This is courtesy of NASA. This is a star cluster where stars are being born. I just love that photo. As we do our genealogy, we're going to do the who, when, and where. Chronological table has the year 3761 BC. According to Jewish tradition, the date Adam and Eve were created in the Garden of Eden. Between 3740 BC and 2500 BC, we have Cain, Abel, and Seth being born to their parents, Adam and Eve. I think we all know these biblical stories. We know that Cain kills Abel and is exiled to wander in the eastern land of Nod. As we move forward in time, 3740 BC and 2500 BC, we have the flood that destroys Eden and all of the ancient ones. Noah and his 3 sons, Japheth, Ham, and Shem, repopulate the earth after the flood. Now this is where we're really going to start. So this is where the information really starts to get pertinent. Again, on that boat, we had 4 families. We had Noah, Mrs. Noah, the 3 sons, and their 3 wives. And all of the earth's population came from those 3 sons. It is generally accepted that Ham is the father of the black race, and that is what we're going to follow in this presentation. If Ham is the father of the black race, we're doing reverse genealogy. We're not starting with ourselves, as is normally the case, and working back. We're starting with our earliest known ancestor and working forward. So with Ham as the father of the black race, these are his 4 sons, as indicated in Genesis chapter 10, verses 6 through 20. Now that's going to be the key to what we're doing today. You need to know the code words. The Bible does not deal with people by race. It does not say this person was black or Hispanic or Asian or European. It talks about their family linkage, and it talks about the places where they lived. So we need to know the families, and we need to know their place of habitation. So with these 4 sons of Ham, the father of the black race, we have Mizraim, who settled in Egypt, Cush, who settled in Sudan and Ethiopia, Put, and sometimes you'll see that spelled with a P-H-U-T, settled in Libya in North Africa, and Canaan, who settled the land of Palestine, the land we know today as Israel. Again, here's our key. Just like on a map you have a key, this will be your key. Now, these are those who descended directly from Ham. And what we need to do, realizing that this is our key, whenever we see one of these names, we need to think black. When you see the name Ham, think black, or Cush, Mizraim, Put, Canaan, black. And that will help you to identify the people in the Bible who are of this family line. Now, Nimrod, Genesis chapter 10, verse 9. And Nimrod was a mighty hunter before the Lord, where it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. Did you know that Nimrod was a descendant of Ham, and therefore would be one of our black family members? The Tower of Babel, where was it? Here's the tower here. What is that land now? Where is that? Saudi Arabia would be here. I think we're looking at southern Iraq today. And of course there's Israel, Canaan, Egypt, Put would be about here. Now, to start learning the names, I'll drop down to the last one, chapter 10, verse 13. And Mizraim begat Ludim, and Anamim, and Lahabim, and Nephtuim. At first, when you read the names, you see them as being foreign, something different. They don't roll off your tongue easily. But if you read and practice them, they will roll off. And then if you recognize each time you see one of those names, think black. That's a brother. That's a sister. And Canaan, going down to the second one, and Canaan begat Sidon, and that's spelled with an S, but sometimes you will see that in the scriptures with a Z. His firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusites, and the Amorites, and the Girgasites. Pay special attention to the Girgasite, because we're going to follow that line here shortly. Ham's descendants continued, and the Hivites, and the Archites, and the Sinites, and the Arvadites, the Zemarites, Hamathites, and the Canaanites. And just to make sure that we understand that this is Ham's family tree, God has provided in his scriptures, down in verse 20, the last of the verses here, these are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations. So everyone got the key? Every time we see one of those names, we're going to think, thank you. Mizraim, Put, Philistines, Canaan, Amorites. Now, I need to tell you there are two groups of Hittites. There is a Semitic group of Hittites in the north, but there is a part of that family that is here further south. Bible history timeline, just as doing genealogy has a timeline. Around 2100 BC, Father Abraham lived in Ur, and God instructed him to leave, and he went north into Haran, and then came down here through what is Canaan into Egypt, and then back into Canaan. And again, the citation is Genesis chapter 12. So who did Abraham meet? Here are the neighbors. And I think it's telling. We see a Syrian, a Nubian, a Libyan, an Egyptian. Very few of them look to be fair-skinned and blonde-haired. And yet these were the people that would have been there around that time. Others in the hood. And again, the features are distinctly those of black Africans. And from the tomb of Ramses III, again, we have a Libyan, a Nubian, Syrian, a Bedouin, and a Hittite. Now, for the sake of clarity, I want it to be clearly stated that we're not going to be saying that every person in the Bible is black, but yet we are going to see those who are direct descendants from Ham. We're just going to be doing a partial examination, but this isn't about everyone there being black, just as it would be incorrect to have everyone portrayed as European. Once in Canaan, Melchizedek meets Abraham. The story that Abraham gave a tenth of his monies to Melchizedek. Who is this Melchizedek? As a king and high priest of the Most High God, Melchizedek holds a place of great honor and respect. What are his other titles? This man to whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all. He is also known as the King of Salem. Anyone know where Salem is? Sir? Jerusalem. Right answer. Where was Salem? What did Melchizedek look like? Well, for a clue, we can go back to Genesis chapter 10, verse 16. Remember when I pointed out the Jebusites? He was Canaan's third son, one of Ham's grandsons. So Ham is the father of the black race. Jebus was a grandson of Ham. The holy city of God, going to the scriptures. Judges chapter 19, verse 10. But the man would not tarry that night, but he rose up and departed and came over against Jebus, which is Jerusalem. And there were with him 2 asses saddled. His concubine also was with him. And then as we drop down to the next verse, we had it confirmed again by Jebus. And down on the last line, and in this city of the Jebusites, and lodged in it. And then the last verse, and David and all Israel went to Jerusalem, which is Jebus, where the Jebusites were the inhabitants of the land. Now the first two citations are in Judges. The last one is in Chronicles, and it's speaking not of Abraham's time, but of the time of King David. There's approximately 1,000-year time span there that has just been covered. The Jebusites were the original inhabitants of the area. They were the first builders of the city of Jerusalem, Salem. It was a fortress city. It was on a rocky outcrop, and it could not be easily attacked. And the Jebusites were able to stay in control of that area for 1,000 years. It wasn't until the time of King David that they were finally routed. So during the time of Father Abraham, the Jebusites would have been in control of the area. So, what did Melchizedek look like? This is a picture I found on the internet, and it might be true, but I am not sure that this is an accurate depiction of Melchizedek. Now, I also want to pause and say, am I saying then that Melchizedek was black? No, but I am saying he was hanging with the brothers, because he was in that city that was a black city. We have Abraham and Sarah. The story, Sarah is barren, and she gives her Egyptian. Now, when we see Egyptian, what do we think? Black. Handmaiden Hagar to Abraham. And we have the beginnings of two nations. Abraham fathers Ishmael by Hagar, the Egyptian handmaiden, and Isaac by Sarah, his wife. We have the expulsion of Hagar. Sarah and Hagar decided to have a little competition. It appears from the scripture that Hagar was sort of lording it over Sarah, that she could have a child when Sarah could not, and that even when Sarah had a child, that Hagar's child was the firstborn. And so it caused dissension in the family. And Hagar and her son Ishmael were sent away, but the scripture also points out that out of them came a great nation. Father saw to it that they were not left alone. But if we take Isaac, the second son of Abraham, Abraham fathers twins, Esau and Jacob, and we have a struggle for birthrights. Isaac, the father, in his old age, is tricked into blessing Jacob, the second son, and not Esau, the first son. But if we look at Esau, Esau was 40 years old when he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beeri, the Hittite. And we see here that she is a Hittite on both sides of her family. And again, when we see that in that area, that part of the world, we're thinking black.
Family, that was a very powerful speech by Pastor Daras Gray. And you all know how white supremacists have been doing this. You know, the lies they've been telling us. We see the depiction of Bible figures like Jesus being depicted as white, a white man. You see photos of Mary, you know, Joseph being white people. We see photos of Moses, you know, in Egypt being a white man. We see the photos of Pharaoh, you know, when Moses went to take Israelites away from Egypt. We all see these people being depicted as white folks, you know, and many a times this has always been a lie. And it's a lie that the white supremacists made it so hard for us to discover as black folks, because growing up and in many other religious institutions, you'll find even a photo of crucified Jesus, a white Jesus being crucified, you know, and people actually bow and pray to them. And it has caused a lot of confusion in areas that are predominantly black, like in Africa. And this same analogy has been pushed in the US. Black Americans, some of them tend to believe that Jesus was actually a white man. When you come to Africa, a lot of art that has been made outside there also depicts the same way, you know. And according to Pastor Daras Gray, he tries, you know, to bring out the lies. He tries to explain why he thinks that Bible figures were actually black. He says in his sermon in 3761 before the birth of Christ, according to Jewish tradition, the day Adam and Eve were created in the Garden of Eden, and between 3740 BC to 2500 BC, we have Cain, Abel, and Seth, born to Adam and Eve. Cain kills Abel and is exiled to wander eastern land of Nod. We have the flood that destroys Eden and all ancient ones. Noah and his 3 sons, Japheth, Ham, and Shem, repopulated the earth after the flood. All of the earth's population came from Noah's 3 sons. It is generally accepted that Ham is the father of the black race. Family, this is where the thing starts getting interesting. According to our pastor right here, Pastor Darius Gray, this is where things start getting interesting, where he says that it is generally accepted that Ham is the father of the black race. Why do they think that Ham was the father of the black race? Why does Pastor Gray think that indeed Ham is the earliest ancestor of black folks? He says he is the earliest ancestor of the black race. The Bible doesn't deal with people by race. You know, there is nowhere you'll see the Bible mention that Ham was a black man, the first of the black men, you know. Nowhere will you see that being mentioned. But Pastor Gray gives us a secret in the Bible. He says the Bible doesn't deal with people by race. It has a secret code. It has code words that you can easily get to understand the color of the people who are being mentioned. You can easily get to understand the race of the people. It talks about the family lineages. It talks about places people lived. And we need to know the families and their habitation. You know, when you hear of a lineage in the Bible, anywhere in the Bible you see Ham being mentioned, his descendants being mentioned, that they actually came from him, that would mean these are descendants of the first black person in the Bible. We need to know the families and their habitation. He says, here are the sons of Ham. Ham had other 4 sons. Remember, Pastor Gray says that Ham is the earliest ancestor of the black race. Ham went on to have 4 sons. His first son was known Mizraim, who lived in the modern day Egypt, which is in Africa. Then now we have Cush, who settled in Sudan and Ethiopia. Then Put, who settled in Libya. Then Canaan, Palestine, the land we know today as Israel. When you see any of this name, think black. When you hear Ham mentioned anywhere in the Bible, just portray it and visualize it as black, according to Pastor Gray. When you hear Mizraim, Cush, Put, and Canaan, just have a picture of a black man. You know, when you hear of the descendants of Ham, have a picture of a black folk. All this time we have always been lied to. You know, you're told that there's nothing good that can come from a black man. It has always been a lie. White people used religion to blindfold us. They used religion to lie to us. When you look at colonialism, when it happened in Africa, the colonists used a strategy where they came and lied to Africans and told them that, you know what? God has sent us for us to come and colonize you guys. You guys should be following whatever we tell you. If we tell you that you have to leave for us your crown lands, kindly leave them to us. God will deliver you in future. After passing through all these atrocities, God has promised you for a redemption. You'll be reimbursed. You know, you lied to and told anything you're being told to do, you must do. Because these are the teachings of God. You know, they came and lied to us with religion. Believe you me 100%, Africans had their own religion. Black folks had their own beliefs, even before the coming of white supremacists, even before the coming of the colonialists in the black lands. You know, we've always been lied to. They even used religion during the time of slavery. You know, you're told that you must listen to your master. You know, you are the subjects of this master. If you're told that you have to go and work in the plantation, you must work in those plantations, because the master, whose God has told us that you guys can do this well. You know, you lie to. You know, you lie to constantly, and you tend to believe. So guys, I went on to do further research as to why the Bible is actually a black book. Then the Bible has these figures that can actually make you get to know that the Bible is actually black. We have Pharaoh's daughter, the Egyptian princess who rescued Moses, often identified as a black due to her Egyptian heritage, plays a pivotal role in biblical history. Then we have the Queen of Sheba. She is traditionally thought to have come from a region in Africa, the modern day Ethiopia or Yemen. Her visit to King Solomon is an example of African royalty interacting with the Israelites. Then we have the Simon of Cyrene, a man from North Africa who helped Jesus carry his cross. You know, you remember Simon of Cyrene, who helped Jesus carry his cross, showing a direct connection between Africans and the central event in Christian theology. So guys, Gray's work, Pastor Gray's work, is an attempt to correct the misinterpretations or omissions that have historically marginalized people of African descent in religious narratives, particularly in Christian and LDS contexts. He argues that reorganizing these individuals is vital to understanding the Bible as an inclusive text. He is also deeply involved in efforts to address the history of racism within the church, particularly concerning the priesthood ban on Black Americans, which lasted until 1978. Gray was one of the early Black members of the church who worked to bridge the gap between Black history and the teachings of faith. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Kindly do consider subscribing to this channel for amazing Black stories in Africa and in the diaspora. I have been doing a series of Black stories in the US, and guys, the series has been so instrumental. It has a lot of information, and I believe we can be able to learn from each other from this series. Go check out my last 30 videos. I've done an amazing work. Go check them, comment, so that we may be able to educate each other, and I'll be so grateful. Guys, also remember to like this video so that it can be recommended to other YouTube users. And guys, last but not least, you can also support my work through super thanks, and I'll be so grateful, guys. See you all in my next episode. Goodbye for now.